What's up, everybody? Welcome. Hey, guys, Guy here. It's been a while since we've done a live YouTube show, but here we are doing a live YouTube show, and it is for the 49ers, at least off-season content. Good NFL games coming up. Lot going on this weekend, and we'll get to some of that stuff. But I wanted to talk about the 49ers' current position of waiting. Today is Thursday. It is the morning. Robert Saleh interviews again with the Jaguars on Friday. Patrick Graham, the Raiders defensive coordinator, interviews with the Jaguars today. And we had the report on Wednesday from Tim Kawakami that the Niners have kicked around the Pete Carroll idea. Somebody mentioned the Pete Carroll idea in the building, which Pete would not take that job, but they kicked it around. And so I just wanted to go through kind of what's out there, the situation the Niners are in, and how nervous they should be. They should be nervous. They should be nervous because there are still 4 jobs open. The Jags job seems clearly like the job that Robert Saleh would take. The Cowboys job is open. The Saints job is open. The Raiders job is open. I feel like the Cowboys job does not get enough attention. The good news for the Niners is that a couple of the coaches a couple of the jobs that were open, 3 jobs were open, already hired, right? So the Jets, the Bears, the Patriots have already hired. And now the Jags have restarted their search. So Friday's a big day. The Jaguars, you would think if they really just want to hire Robert Saleh without doing Bulky's out, we're going to reopen this whole thing up again, would just do it Friday this weekend. So if you're the Niners, you're holding your breath to get through the weekend. If you get to Monday and Robert Saleh still hasn't been hired by the Jags, then the odds probably shift a little bit in the 49ers' favor. Now, what's the pessimistic view? The most worried people, what is that view on Robert Saleh and the Jags? That view is, first of all, nobody turns that head coach's jobs. I think this much is clear at this point. If the Jags want Robert Saleh to be their head coach, he takes the job, especially now that he would have total control and could bring in whoever he wanted to be his general manager. He could do whatever he wants. Maybe. I mean, that's what you'll ask on Friday. Can I do whatever I want? And the Jags would be like, no, whatever you want. But a head coach with total control, it's a very attractive job. Even though, and Matt Barrows said on the podcast with him and Tim Kawakami, that the Niners are prepared to make Robert Saleh the highest paid defensive coordinator in the land. That includes SEC defensive coordinators. And that's good money. It's not head coach money. All right. That's my guess. If you make him the highest paid defensive coordinator in the land, is that you would end up paying him around $5.5 million. That'd be my guess. $6 million, somewhere in that range. They know what it takes to pay the highest paid defensive coordinator because they tried to hire Steve Spagnuolo. Vic Fangio of the Eagles is making $4.5 million. Do you know, by the way, that if you go look at the highest paid defensive coordinators in college football, that there are some programs like Georgia who appear twice on that list? Their defensive coordinator and their co-defensive coordinator are among the top 20 highest paid defensive coordinators in the country. There's somebody else on that list too. I forget who it is. But there's 2 teams in college football who have 2 guys on the list of the highest paid, maybe there might be more than 2 of the highest paid defensive coordinators. So, and then the other reason, if you're Robert Saleh, Trevor Lawrence, say what you want. The debate rages, and Trevor Lawrence would be better than most options. It's not better than having the number 1 pick at quarterback, but look, Robert Saleh knows what it's like, even if you have the number 2 pick and you think you've got it made. We've got the number 2 pick. This is going to be amazing. We're going to draft whoever we want other than the guy that goes first. And, and then you end up with a major quarterback controversy. So he's been in this position before. He has evaluated Trevor Lawrence before. He took Zach Wilson second. I don't know if they spent much time on Trevor Lawrence, but they spent some time on Trevor Lawrence. Now, here's the optimistic view for the 49ers. I think that the Jags should hire Mike McCarthy. Clearly, like, to me, it is so obvious that the Jaguars should hire Mike McCarthy. And you might be thinking, guy, I've been watching you for like 5 years, listening to you you thought that Mike McCarthy was the wrong hire at the introductory press conference for the Cowboys. And then, guy, you said that they should fire Mike McCarthy in Dallas after their first game of the year, his first season. Both those things are true. I thought it would end badly in Dallas, and I mean, like, you could argue it kind of went better than I said it would, because they're really good offensively. But the candidates out there are not proven. Cliff Kingsbury, proven very good with quarterbacks, not a proven head coach. Joe Brady? What? No. Kellen Moore? What? No. Mike McCarthy has he's got so many qualifications for this Jags job. Number one, in a semi-dysfunctional situation in Dallas. 2, made Dak Prescott a highly, highly paid quarterback because his regular season numbers were off the charts. That should be very attractive to Shad Khan and the Jags. Like, here's the thing I'll say about Mike. He's a real professional NFL head coach. He is a legitimate NFL head coach. Okay. And he would, I think, at least give you a good reflection, a good idea of who Trevor Lawrence is and what Trevor Lawrence is. I don't think you can hire a defensive head coach if you're the Jags. Because even if they hire a good OC, that person has gone in the year. You have got to hire an offensive head coach. And Mike McCarthy is without a doubt the best candidate for them. So I don't know if they see it that way. I do think, like, you're like, well, would Mike take the job? Hell yeah, Mike would take the job. Look at these jobs that are out there. The Saints job, no QB. The Raider job, no QB. You could argue worse franchise. The Cowboy job, well, he just had that one. He's not getting it back. Although, if you told me that Mike McCarthy and the Cowboys, if you told me Mike McCarthy was hired by the Cowboys in February, you know what? As the analytics people like to say, it's a non-zero chance. So, anyway, that would be the argument. Like, if you're the Niners right now, you start shadow pushing Mike McCarthy content. Like, the one thing the AFC should be worried about is if Mike McCarthy gets that Jags job. If you're Robert, you like making the Niners sweat a little bit. Your dream is not to come back and be the defensive coordinator for Kyle Shanahan. So you go out there, you do your interviews, you do the thing where it's like, ultimately the Jags felt like an offensive coach was ultimately Robert felt like it wasn't the right fit, and blah, 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 blah. And then he becomes the Niners DC. So, some of the candidates out there, we're like Deshae Townsend for defensive coordinator candidate, Lions assistant. Why won't the Lions just hire him? Feels natural, right? If the Lions would just hire him. Or why wouldn't he just go and be the Jets defensive coordinator for Aaron Glenn? Steve Spagnuolo has interviews with the Jags and the Raiders. At least he had interviews with the Jags and the Raiders, or whatever. Ryan Day won a national championship. He was a candidate for a minute. Marcus Freeman, Notre Dame job is better than the Bears job. The Bears got a coach, but I shouldn't. Notre Dame job's a good job. Brian Flores. Cowboys should hire Brian Flores. Deion Sanders. The Cowboys should hire Deion Sanders. Excuse me. Ugly sneezer, I've been told by my wife. Pete Carroll. Pete and the Raiders would be fascinating. Pete wants that job. Pete doesn't want the Niners DC job. Pete wants that job. And Pete wants a job. You know what I would love? Absolutely love. I mean, sincerely love about Pete Carroll to the Raiders is that Pete Carroll is the coach that doesn't care at all about like Raider Nation. Nobody respects us. Raider Nation. We're the bad boys of the league. Raider Nation. It's us against the world. The Raiders have always been disrespected. Like I said, not half joke. Like I kind of mean it. That if I owned the Raiders, I would change their color scheme. I would change their uniforms and their color scheme. Maybe the name too. Because I just think when you look at they just look so stale. And unfortunately, like if you've won a lot, then it looks classic, but they haven't won a lot. And Pete Carroll in silver and black, like Pete Carroll's aura is basically like the opposite. You know, if you ever gone to like an outdoors store, not a hunting store, but like a hiking store. Not Bass Pro Shop. There's a big Bass Pro Shop that I stop at sometimes. Not the Bass Pro Shop to use the restroom, clearly, not to buy a crossbow. But you know, like a hiking store, like an REI. Like Pete Carroll is his colors are like all the fleeces at REI. It's always just like pastels and like bright. It's not camo. It's be like purple, green, yellow. Like that's Pete's aura. He is so opposite the Raider aura. The Raider aura is like, nobody wants us. Leave us alone, man. Nobody wants us, so we don't want them. Pete's aura is like, everybody, come join me. We live as one. He is such an opposite Raider, which is actually would make it a great hire for the last thing the Raiders need is some other coach to come in and be like, I just got here, but I'm adopting your historical trauma. Nobody loves us. It's us against the league in 1978. Have you seen these refereeing splits from the 80s? They called all these penalties against us. Like, that's not what they need. They don't need some guy to come in and adopt their historical, belief that everyone's out to get them. So in that way, Pete would be hilariously an awful fit and simultaneously a great fit for them. Yeah, just win, baby. At some point, it will happen. What happened to Byron Leftwich? Remember when that guy was a candidate? He got fired, and Liam Cohen, who every time I see the Liam Cohen, like the same Liam Cohen photo was circulating, is like Liam Cohen. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's Arthur Smith. That's Liam Cohen. Somebody said, here we go. Super chat from Charlie. Get ready to learn Staley is the DC, buddy. Somebody else had another. Somebody said pessimistic. Here we go. Pessimism. Chris says pessimism. The pessimistic view is it's going to be Staley. That would be the worst case scenario. Not because Twitter, not because you or we, not because the internet doesn't like Brandon Staley. Who cares? But because they don't want to hire Brandon Staley based on the fact that they haven't hired Brandon Staley. Comment, feels like Khan wants an offensive-minded head coach to help Trevor Lawrence, as he should. Paul says we got to go after Rex Ryan. I mean, the modern Rex is like Wink. Comment, Saleh couldn't make it work with Zach Wilson or Aaron Rodgers. That is going to go against him with Khan wanting Trevor Lawrence to take the next step. I just think for head coach, Mike McCarthy's a superior candidate and should take the job. Is Mike going to do the thing again where he sits out a year, then interviews, then tells the guys he's interviewing with, I've watched every snap of film? That's what he told Jerry Jones. I watched every snap of the year I was out of football. And then at his introductory press conference, Ed Werder said, hey, Mike, you said you watched every snap of football while you were out of the game. What did you learn? And Mike said, I lied to Jerry Jones in the interview just because it sounded good. You can't use that line again. So we better just take a job. Charlie says, reigniting the Harbs Carroll rivalry. That would be great. Pete, Raiders. What's your deal, bro? Stanford, USC. Paris says, do we like the Pete Carroll option? It doesn't seem like a bad idea, but he did get a little vanilla at the end there. I love the Pete Carroll option, except for the part where Pete Carroll's been a defensive coordinator. Pete Carroll's been a head coach for 30 years. For 30 years. There are some coaches that go, my passion lies in calling plays. At the end of the day, I'm okay giving up the power of being the head coach to just focus on my passion. That's what Chip Kelly did. Pete Carroll's passion is leadership. Pete Carroll's passion is being the head coach, not the defensive coordinator. And so Pete Carroll is not going to be the defensive coordinator. I think Pete Carroll would rather be like a public, not a public, but like a corporate speaker than a defensive coordinator. And I sincerely, he'd rather just Fortune 100 CEOs just hire Pete to come in and coach him up. Like he'd rather do that than be a defensive coordinator. He's not going to be the Niners defensive coordinator. Schwimmer 1442 says Mike Silver tweeting videos of Lenore calling Staley a genius a few minutes ago. Prepping everyone for that happening. Did that just happen? Mike Silver. X. Here we go. Let's check in the latest on Mike. I'll tell you, I've talked to a number of coaches who are reading. I'm listening to Mike's book. What's it called? It Takes What It Takes. I've got it right here. No, that's not. The Score Takes Care of Itself. That's Walsh. Where's my library? Silver's book. Oh, The Why is Everything. I've had a few people tell me that they're like coaches that they're reading that book. In fact, I saw an interview with Michigan basketball coach Dusty May, and he said that's what he's reading is The Why is Everything. It's like having a Kyle on defense, Diamador Lenore. Silver 10 minutes ago. Here's one of the best players on Brandon Staley. Lenore on what he's learned from defensive genius Brandon Staley. That's from July. Although, yeah, these are from July. Okay. So July, it's cool. It was July. A lot's happened since then. Like they played a whole season with him on the staff and they didn't hire him when the season was over. So, but this is what the comments are important here. I'm glad we investigated that. Silver yesterday, the belief in NFL circles is the Jags coaching search is not limited to Robert Saleh and Patrick Graham, the two candidates with whom they've scheduled second interviews. And that belief was fortified by the news of Balke's dismissal. Keep an eye for Joe Brady, Kellen Moore, and other assistants whose teams are still in the playoffs. I mean, at this point, if you're the Jags, why not just be patient? Why not be patient? Brian says, what's the percentage chance the 49ers land Saleh? I think, the other way to ask that question is what's the percentage chance that the Jaguars hire Saleh? And that's a good question. I'll take a guess. I'm going to guess. If you had asked me this the other day, I would have said 50-50. I'm going to say that as nerve-wracking as it feels right now, I'm going to say the Niners percentages are better than 50%. Because even if you say Saleh has a 40% chance of getting the Jags job, that's a pretty high percentage, right? That's like Mike Silver just said they're opening this thing back up. And it's possible somebody made the comment here earlier, like if you're Saleh, do you have a second Jags interview and you go, oh, this is less attractive? Maybe. I mean, the thing I go back to is like NFL. You just don't turn down NFL head coaching jobs, but maybe. So I'm going to say this is going to feel high, 60% chance the Niners get Robert Saleh. To me, that feels high, but I think 40% is pretty high that he gets the Jags job. That's high. If he doesn't get the Jags job, I guess he could take with the Packers making their defensive coordinator. He's very tight. Like, actually, it's Silver's book. If you read Silver's book, Saleh's very tight with LaFleur. Like, they were roommates. They're the ones that came up together. God, I'm sneezing today. Ugh. Sneeze. Went away. Rick asks, do you think we're going to have a good season next year? Do you think we have a chance to go to the playoffs next year? What's your opinion? What's in your mind? Yes, I do think I think this is a 49er question. I do think the 49ers have a very good chance to have a very good season. Gabriel says, I don't know why they put all their eggs in the Saleh basket. They should have been actively looking for a solid second choice. Yeah, they are operating like people with a lot of job security to put all the eggs in the Saleh basket like that. They have put themselves in a really tough spot if they don't get Robert Saleh. The guy they wanted last year, they didn't hire. They could have. Now, I'm not, Jeff Ulbrich, once a team zeroes in on a guy, you just make it out like that guy's just, he's the only person that could coach our defense, which is what they thought last year when they really didn't want to hire Brandon Staley. When they spent like 2 weeks trying to get Jeff Ulbrich away from the Jets, and he was the Jets defensive coordinator. They didn't want to hire. They hired Nick Sorensen last year instead of Brandon Staley. Okay. That's how much they didn't want to hire Brandon Staley. So, but anyway, yeah, they've put themselves in a really tough spot. Unless they get Saleh, and then they'll say it all worked out. But they have really opened themselves up to being heavily criticized and rightfully criticized. And forget about that. Like, you're trying to take advantage of a cupcake schedule next year. Relative NFL, I mean, there's no cupcakes in the NFL, but a cupcake schedule, a very good situation, a chance at a full refresh, and you could drive that whole thing off the road if you don't hire a good defensive coordinator. Could torpedo this whole season if you hire the wrong guy. So, by the way, I do want to tell you guys that I'm brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks code GUY. Football is here. Football is here. What am I reading? A script from August? The postseason is here. The postseason is here. What am I reading? A script from January 1. The playoffs are winding down. So what I like to do middle of the week is maybe I jump in and do a little basketball, to prepare me for football. Because what you'll do this weekend is you'll go NFL at Prize Picks. You'll use the code GUY. When you use the code GUY, you make a $5 lineup. You'll immediately get $50 deposited into your account. Just a bonus. Bam. You get that $50 bonus whether you win that first lineup or not. Okay. So right now there is a basically a free promo at Prize Picks, which is Jaden Daniels more than half a passing yard. So you'll go in, you'll select Jaden Daniels more than half a passing yard. Let's go. What do you think? Jalen Hurts more or less than 31.5 rushing yards, if you like that. Jake Elliott, you can take anything here. Let's go Kelsey more than 69.5 receiving yards. Let's go Josh Allen more than half a rushing and receiving touchdown. So you could make that lineup if you want. Now, I've already used my basically free Jaden Daniels. So I can't use that one in this lineup. I'm going to unclick that, but I'm going to keep going here. I'm going to go still the other two. Do I want to go Scary Terry? Oh, let's go Saquon. Let's go Saquon more than 129.5. Let's go Jalen more or less than 182.5 passing. I'm going to go, shockingly, I'm going to go more. Okay. And I'm going to make this $50 to pay $250. Let's see. That's a flex lineup, which means I only got to get 3 of the 4 right. I can also go power play, get them all right. 50 pays 500. Yeah. Let's do that. And that's how easy it is to make a lineup on Prize Picks right now. So what you could do, it's Thursday, Friday, you want to get ready for the weekend. You go in, you could go make, one thing we've been doing is like and some NBA lineups, first half NBA lineup. Let's just make a quick, let's go. I mean, I have been watching very little NBA, but this is fun. I'm going to go Chris Paul, 5 first half points. You know, the one to do is let's go rebounds plus assists plus points. Okay. Rebounds, assists, points. I'm going to go Miles Turner, 12. Ooh, and I'm going to go Tyrese Halliburton, 15.5. I'll make that 25, pays 56. And I only got to get 2 of the 3 right. So that's how easy it is to make a lineup at Prize Picks. You go to Prize Picks, you use the code GUY, GUY, and you make a $5 lineup. The second you do that, like if you just did what I just did, you would get $50. You just make it a $5 lineup, you get $50 into your account. What I recommend you do, you take the 5 and you make a lineup with the Jaden Daniels free, basically, the free spot. And then you get $50 in, and then you start diving into to the NFL this weekend. Ooh, I like some Ben Humrickhouse against Maryland, 12 points and rebounds for Illinois. I like it. If you've been watching Illinois, I love Illinois. Jacoby Gillespie, 2.5 rebounds. I want another. I'm going to go Yakachonis, more than 17.5 points, and Gillespie more than 18.5 points and rebounds. I'm a I love college basketball. I see it a big win against Nebraska last night. So that'll be, do I want to hit all 3? 25 pays 125. Bam. I mean, that's how easy it is. So go to Prize Picks, use the code GUY. Ton of NFL there for you. And enjoy. Code GUY. $5 lineup, and you immediately get $50 into your account. Thanks to Prize Picks for the sponsorship. Hey, also, while I'm pushing merch, pushing product, heyguy.co. There's a QR code up in the corner of the screen if you're watching it live. Heyguy.co, and or not watching live if you're watching at all. You can buy the 262 hat. You can buy the Hey Guy hat. We got multiple colors. And you can also just send me an email. You don't have to go there to buy anything. You can go to heyguy.co and send me a message if you want to do that. Go check it out. I think if you're the Niners, the other thing you would love, Steve Spagnuolo getting the job would be great. Steve Spagnuolo taking somebody else's job would be awesome. Will the easy schedule hurt us in the playoffs like the Vikings this season? No, the Vikings were not good enough at quarterback or offensive line. I don't think it was because they had an easy schedule. Their schedule helped them win a bunch of games in the regular season. It's not that it didn't prepare them for the postseason. They're just not good enough. They weren't good enough. I wasn't surprised that they weren't good enough. Niners have been there, done that. Dennis Allen seems perfect. Dennis Allen was a real coach. But Dennis Allen, the thing that go back to the thing that Kawakami wrote about they want some energy. Ideally, they'd get some energy at that defensive coordinator spot. And I think there's something to that. They could use that. It'd be good. It's a good balance for Kyle. Just like John Lynch is a good balance for Kyle. I think an energetic defensive coordinator would be a good balance for Kyle. Comment from Law of All. My sentiments as well on I think this is about the odds. It stands to reason that they would want to have the best possible candidate. Saleh's not the best possible candidate, head coach at least. Spags, Pete Carroll, McCarthy are better candidates. My hesitation is Spags is clearly an elite defensive coordinator. Is he a better head coaching candidate? His one shot didn't last very long. You could argue at this point he has the knowledge, the institutional knowledge of being with Kansas City too. So that would be attractive. So, okay. Yeah. I mean, but as I said, McCarthy to me is clearly the candidate that the Jags should hire. So maybe McCarthy wasn't interested before when they had Balky. Now he's interested. I don't know. But anyway. All right. On that note, thanks for hanging, everybody. Appreciate y'all. If you're into college hoops like me, I'll be on Fox broadcast channel on Saturday calling UNLV New Mexico from Vegas. And that'll be exciting.